Quiz time. What does Kill la Kill and the 1970s rock and roll band Kiss have in common? This guy worked on both of them. Anime bands. Yeah, there's a whole bunch of them out there. And music is an important part of life, so why wouldn't it be an important part of the most important part of most people's lives, anime? Who didn't love Lin Minmay the second they saw her or heard her in Macross? Pris was always a fan favorite in Bubblegum Crisis, at least partially due to her rock and roll lifestyle. And of course, there are so many classics like Nana, K-On!, and Creamy Mommy, where it's pretty hard to separate the music from the anime, since the entire franchises are based around musicians. And who could forget about all of the references to various artists in anime over the years, like Freddy in Cromartie High School, or a bunch of characters in JoJo's Bizarre Adventure. However, what happens when an American band decides it's time to officially team up with a J-pop group to release not only a song together, but a music video that turns them into actual anime husbandos? Well, did you know that Kiss are actually anime characters? Ah yes, Kiss, the hottest man in the land that's put their face on everything from action figures to coffins. But wait, there's someone out there who doesn't know who Kiss is? Okay, I know we're here to look at anime and the culture surrounding it, so maybe there actually is someone out there that's more familiar with Miku than the almighty Kiss. So here is a very quick summary of Kiss. The band formed in 1973 in New York, and by 1975 they were huge. The band was known for their makeup, huge stage shows, and catchy rock and roll songs. Trust me, you've heard Rock and Roll All Night at some point in your life, whether you realize it or not. But the sign of a true Kiss fan is the guy that owns 12 copies of Music from the Elder on vinyl for some reason. Anyway, Kiss were a big deal for a very long time, but they eventually closed up shop in 2023 after changing the face of rock music for 50 years. And during that time, they influenced everyone from Motley Crue to Garth Brooks and Run DMC. Yeah, there were a lot of people into this band, and most of those people are still into them to this day. And Kiss were always a force to be reckoned with in Japan as well. When they first toured there in 1977, it was a big deal. And I mean a very big deal. They broke ticket sale records previously held by the Beatles. Before Kiss came over, there was a rock and metal scene in Japan with bands like Bow Wow. Hey, Bow Wow even opened for Kiss on this tour, but after the Kiss invasion, that scene really started to grow. And by the 1980s, Japan would create its own unique style of rock and metal called Visual Kei, and this stuff took the country by storm. This is a genre that combines the outlandish looks of glam rock with the sounds of everything from rock and roll to thrash metal. Many of these acts also would credit Kiss as one of their biggest influences, including X-Japan, arguably the biggest rock and roll band in Japanese history. Past that, Kiss have been involved or referenced in all kinds of Japanese media over the years, ranging from their official collab with Hello Kitty to the anime series Detroit Metal City. So it's only natural that the band would want to venture into the otaku world further, right? So they waited till 2015 to do it? But it finally happened. So what did they do? Did they release a highly successful shonen action anime series? Maybe they teamed up with Gundam to release some exclusive Gunpla. Or maybe they finally appeared on Love Live as themselves. Well, in 2015, Kiss became officially licensed anime characters for a music video collab with the J-pop superstars MomoiroCloverZ. Yeah, most people didn't see that one coming. But why was MomoiroCloverZ the J-pop group to go with? Well, they had a little bit more street cred in both the rock world and the American music industry than some might realize. The J-pop idol group debuted in 2008, and they quickly found a large amount of success in both the Japanese pop industry as well as the anime scene, with songs being featured in everything from Pokemon to Shin-chan. But they weren't content with just having cutesy pop songs and anime bops. In 2012, they officially started to work with rock royalty when the group released a song featuring ex-Megadeth guitarist and all-around otaku himself, Marty Friedman. Then, in 2014, Marty returned with the girls to record the opening to the Sailor Moon anime reboot, Sailor Moon Crystal. But Marty wasn't the only guitar legend to work with these girls, because Mr. Shred himself, Yngwie Malmsteen, also recorded a song with them in 2014. But that wasn't it for the year, because Lady Gaga even personally selected the girls to open for her. So yeah, 2014 was quite the year for this group. These girls were quickly growing into an internationally acclaimed entertainment behemoth. And you know who else is an internationally acclaimed entertainment behemoth? Kiss. Yeah, when you start to look at both acts, it starts to become less shocking. Both are very successful in their respective genres, both wear over-the-top costumes, and both have connections to Lady Gaga. It just makes sense. So in January 2015, every idol otaku and every aging rocker held hands and danced in the streets when the epic collaboration Samurai Sun was released upon the world. And for a short time there, everything just felt right. Two versions of the song were released, one starring the girls more that also featured a title in Japanese that I'm not even going to try to say, and one starring the rock legends more. The girl version, of course, features lyrics that are mostly in Japanese, while the Kiss version features everything mostly in English with a few small parts in Japanese here and there. As we prove all the time here on Kimchi no Video, I can barely say anything in Japanese, and I own untranslated anime on beta. Jean and Paul, they wouldn't have stood a chance trying to sing in Japanese, so this was a good move to make two versions of the song. So how is it? It's great! Of course, at the time it was released, there were a bunch of butthurt racist Kiss fans that said a bunch of butthurt racist things, but everyone else seemed to enjoy this once-in-a-lifetime combo that did combine three of my favorite things: Kiss, J-pop, and anime. The song is an upbeat rocker that sounds like most of the later day Kiss material with a nice layer of J-pop and anime flair on top of it, so how could you not love this thing? It's just fun. And we haven't even touched on the anime aspects yet. Well, there was a music video release that combines live action segments with anime, and get this, they actually used people from the anime industry to create the thing, with Tsushio leading the pack as the animation director. And this guy's resume is impressive to say the least. He's worked on everything from Evangelion to One Piece and Gurren Lagann. He even worked on Idolmaster Cinderella Girls right around the same time that this music video was released, so it just proves that this guy cannot escape rock and roll and idols in his life. If there's one drawback to this release, I guess you could say that they go a little hard on the whole "this is from Japan" thing, which would be bad if it just featured Kiss, but since there's a whole J-pop idol group involved, I'll allow it. And here's what's crazy. You would think that once this video was released, that would be that. Time to move on. Nope, this collab went much further than any sane person would have ever expected. There was a whole press conference for the release of this where the girls gave Kiss custom happy jackets, and there actually seemed to be some sort of chemistry at this event. If they were phoning it in, they were doing a great job because everyone seemed to be having a blast. Kiss performed this new classic on Japanese TV like they were a modern J-pop group themselves. Kiss also brought the girls out on stage for their show at Tokyo Dome, not only to perform this song, but to stay on stage and close the show out with them for the grand finale of Rock and Roll All Night. And then it happened. July 2015, MomoiroCloverZ headlined the biggest anime convention in America, Anime Expo. And guess who appeared with them? That's right, Gene Simmons and Paul Stanley of Kiss appeared at Anime Expo 2015 along with their J-pop idol friends. Wow. As a lifelong fan of both Kiss and anime, I remember the moment I learned about this. I remember reading about it online and just being dumbfounded by the idea of Kiss being involved with an anime con in any capacity. Even if Gene and Paul's involvement with the whole thing was limited, it didn't matter. These worlds were colliding and it was such a magical moment for me. Unfortunately, since the convention was on the other side of the country, I didn't get to attend, but it didn't matter. All I needed to know is that it happened. History was made and there was no going back now. From here, things did start to settle down a bit, and Kiss didn't really interact with the J-pop industry or world of anime quite that much ever again, but for everyone that was involved and part of both fandoms especially, these couple of months were beyond exciting. And luckily, all of these promo appearances worked out for both bands because the song performed remarkably well, reaching #1 on the Japanese Oricon daily charts and #2 on the weekly sales charts. There were two versions of the CD released with different covers, and one of the B-sides on the MomoiroCloverZ version was their cover of Rock and Roll All Night, featuring a guitar solo by Japanese metal legend Shinji Wajima. I guess the girls just wanted to collab with another amazing guitarist, so why not? A lot of Kiss fans seem to ignore this song when it was released, and even more seem to have forgotten about it altogether by now. But for me, it's hard not to smile when I think back on this time period and watch this music video. It was just such an exciting time period if you were a fan of Kiss, J-pop, and anime. It's pretty rare for these worlds to collide, and in the case of Kiss in particular, they were a band that never really collaborated with other artists in general, thus making this a very unique experience for the Kiss Army at large. And sure, I would say this whole thing was put together with the express goal of making money more so than making any type of actual art or anything, but that's a huge chunk of the music and anime industry in general. I don't think there's much of an artistic statement to be made when the Evangelion company releases a Unit 1 shaving razor either, but at least it's kind of fun. And luckily for us, this music video and song are both very fun. So in conclusion, yes, this might look a little odd from the outside looking in, but as we've seen here today, it makes a lot more sense when you delve just a little bit deeper. And I'm a fan of this song, video, and even all the fun events surrounding the release. It was a unique time in history and the world of otaku culture, so how could I not love it? And yes, we cannot forget this officially turned Kiss into anime characters after all these years. And what's that? You still don't think this really turned the hottest band in the land into anime characters so that they could actually be on the same playing field as other classics like Chargeman Ken and Mad Bull 34? Well, my anime list would disagree with you because they have a page on there. And each individual member even has their own page as well as official anime characters. Yep, that proves it. Kiss are indeed anime characters.